Major props to Dana White, because when Dana White does not like you, he will absolutely prop up your nearest competitor or someone who regards as your nearest rival, for a lack of better words, or someone who can be seen as your equal. I say this because there has been this trend of Dana White going on every podcast and calling Kamaru Usman the greatest welterweight of all time. I appreciate Kamaru Usman, but as a GSP mark, as someone who is an absolute fan of GSP, and I believe GSP is the greatest of all time. Yes, a lot of people say it's John Jones, but personally, it's GSP because of what he did in the octagon and how he behaved outside the octagon. And this is a person who a lot of us regard as either number one or two in MMA or in UFC. The dude who is considered as either number one or two in UFC history is ultimately not the greatest welterweight of all time. It's like saying John Jones is the greatest MMA fighter of all time, but Jamal Hill is the greatest light heavyweight of all time, or I don't know, whoever is the greatest light heavyweight of all time, someone not called John Jones. How does that work? It's like putting Khabib in the top 4 or top 5 greatest fighters of all time, or top 10 greatest fighters of all time, and saying he is not the greatest lightweight of all time. Or Demetrius Johnson is the greatest flyweight of all time, but not, I don't know, that, you get what I'm trying to say. Demetrius is the 4th greatest fight of all time, but not the greatest flyweight of all time. And that is the issue I have. And looking back at it, I can see why Dana White is salty about GSP and not wanting to regard him as the greatest welterweight of all time. GSP essentially retired on his own terms. He said, I'm tired, I want to take a break, I'm relinquishing my welterweight title. He took a break. He left Dana White with essentially nothing to do, no star in the welterweight division, and Dana had to essentially rebuild that division. He comes back a couple of years later. He says, hey, Dana, let me fight Michael Bisping. And Dana says, you know what? I'll give you that because you sell pay-per-views. I need you, etc. Welcome back. And maybe he told Dana, I'll defend the title. Or Dana assumed that if he fights in middleweight, he'll defend it a couple of times. GSP goes out there. He finishes Michael Bisping. And then he retires again. He basically played Dana White for the fool. He relinquished the welterweight title on his own terms, came back, fought for the middleweight title, and then relinquished it just to prove that he could be a double champ. And mind you, I agree. As a GSP fan, as much as of a GSP fan I am, I agree. GSP waited for the perfect timing. He went for Michael Bisping, who he knew he could beat. But still, he is a double champ. GSP has... The stats are on the screen. I'm not going to read them out to you guys. The stats are on the screen. GSP lost twice and redeemed himself of those 2 losses. Kamaru Usman could not redeem his loss against Leon Edwards. Someone else is running the division while Kamaru Usman is present. When GSP was champion, no one ran his division. Yes, he did lose his belt, surprisingly, freakishly, but he regained it and he continued to run his division. GSP is a 2-time welterweight champion. GSP is a 2-division champion. GSP has the 2nd most title wins in UFC, or title defenses, one of those 2. GSP never let another man run his division. And when I say run his division, it means they took your belt and they went and defended it against other people and paraded as the champion in your division while you are still active. All credit to Matt Serra. Freakish win. Absolutely surprising. But GSP redeemed himself. Kamaru, I appreciate you. You've done so much for the continent of Africa. You've done so much for your people. But you're not GSP. When Dana says Kamaru ran through his division, let's have a closer look at it. He beat Tyron Woodley. Very impressive win. Dominant win. First title defense was against Colby Covington. What a fight. 2 wrestlers decided to stand and bang. Beautiful fight. He then had a fight against, I think, his best friend. That was the next fight. His best friend at the time Gilbert Burns. Yes. Kamaru Usman then went and had a dominant win over Gilbert Burns, knocked him out with the jabs, proved he was too good. He then went and fought to a decision win over Jorge Masvidal. Then he fought Masvidal again, knocking him out, which was, oh my goodness, what's going on? Kamaru, what are you doing? And then he fought Colby again, winning again. When we say Kamaru ran through his division, the stats are here. He only had one unique opponent during his title reign, which was Gilbert Burns. The other four were against the same two people, Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal. Essentially, Kamaru defended his title against three people. What division did he run through? George Masvidal or Jorge Masvidal got the title opportunity because of the stardom he had, not because he was this up-and-coming dude who was tearing up the division. Colby Covington, his first title opportunity deserved. Second one, he waited for it. Gilbert Burns, now he was someone who went through the division and deserved that title opportunity. But still, Kamaru defended his belt against three people. He did not run through the division, Dana White. Let's not have revisionist history. Let's not practice revisionism. And I appreciate Kamaru Usman because of how frequent he was having these bouts. Now we have Leon Edwards and we're starting to realize how much we appreciated Kamaru Usman. But still, Kamaru, you let Leon take your belt from you and you let him keep your belt. And you let him defend your belt in an era where you are supposed to be regarded as the greatest welterweight of all time. I'm just not having it. I'm sorry. Put some respect on GSP's name. That's all I'm asking for. That is all I am asking for. Is that too much to ask for?